Hey, this is Tom Nash, and in this video, we're going to have an honest conversation about Palantir. No BS, just real talk, pragmatic analysis. We're not going to be basically saying how Palantir is the best thing since sliced bread. We're not going to be absolutely bashing Palantir for no reason. If you're looking for one of those things, there's plenty of other channels that can offer you basically either that or that. On this channel and in this video, we're going to give you pragmatic, actual analysis, objective analysis of Palantir, the good and the bad. Now, as the title suggests, you probably want to know whether I sold any Palantir stock or not. The answer is no. The reason will be explained in this video, but I wanted to give you the bottom line first because I respect your time. If you got to run, you got to run. But hold on a second. Before you click off the video, if you do have 5 minutes, stay with me because in this video, I'm obviously going to explain why I'm not selling, but more importantly for you, I'm going to explain why my confidence in this company is not as good as it was before this quarter, why I'm seeing major red flags, major warning signs, and why I'm extremely concerned about the future of this company and why it's going on my naughty list for the next 2 quarters until I see any improvement. So if you want to hear about that, you should stick around. Now, I know there are a lot of YouTubers who made negative videos about this company, in fact, selling their shares and basically saying, hey, I'm out, I hate Palantir, whatever that may be, it doesn't matter. Now, if you watch my channel, you should know that I have no issues with people who say that, and neither should you. This isn't a cult. This isn't a club where we all basically circle jerk around the stock basically like it's the best thing we've ever seen. This is actual investments. So none of this is about liking, having emotions, or any of the stuff. If any of you on my channel is behaving like a little bitch by giving, hate to people who say that they will sell Palantir stock, I suggest you unsubscribe from my channel, get the fuck out of here, because that's being a total bitch. Now look, people are entitled to their opinion. People are entitled to change their opinion. If they explain to you why they're doing that, they're actually giving you a service. You can choose not to listen. You can choose not to watch. But giving a shit for that is absolutely unacceptable. Now look, why am I still not selling? Why am I now more concerned than ever? 2 questions that deserves an answer. Now, let's start with the bad things. And I think that should be addressed. I think the company had a horrendous earnings call. Absolutely horrendous. The CEO throwing hissy fits, banging on the table, saying god-awful things about how his clients hate him and they have no choice but to work with the company because nobody can ever get to this level of product. Woo! Absolutely a shit show. The presentation they provided was manipulative, it was misleading, and it was absolutely sus. It's not a good look for this management. They're thinking that we're all idiots by providing us this presentation that basically omits important information we know should be there, and we will still find it. So either you think we're idiots or you're idiots. In any case, both options are not that good for this management. Not to mention the fact that the underlying numbers, the fundamentals, were mixed a little bit on the negative side. They were not amazing. But definitely the way the company handled this, yeah, that raises a lot of red flags. Now, beyond that, there's actual red flags within the fundamentals. Dilution is still going very strong. Yes, it's slightly declining, but it's still extremely strong. There's other issues that needs to be addressed beyond just the dilution part. The rest of the world sales are pretty much non-existent. That hasn't improved at all for Palantir. They struggle to operate outside the US, and the whole Russia-Ukraine thing, at least for now, for Q2, is not providing any sort of upside on that. Now, not to mention that their outstanding deal flow hasn't moved. The needle basically is stuck on $3.5 billion. That means they haven't added to that anymore. That's just something I put on the sales team, and I think they should definitely have done a better job. But also have my notes here, and I do have some good stuff to say, and basically some reasons why I'm still in the stock and not selling. But before I do, I want to cover a few things. And this is a common misconception. When we talk about the company slowing down, about the sales teams not performing, we're talking about reduced revenue growth. The revenues are still growing. Now, it's slowing down, which is a major sign of concern, especially when Alex Karp is behaving like a 12-year-old kid on these calls. But the company is still growing, and that part I want to cover. Because despite the horrendous reaction by management, the company still grew commercial by 46% and government business by 13%. So if you have 46% growth for 40% of your business, 13% growth for 60% of your business, these are really high growth rates if you just isolate them from the expectations we have from Palantir. So yes, they are declining, but still the numbers are objectively quite good. And if they can turn it around and improve the numbers and start climbing again, then I see no issues with this. So the question is, will this trend continue or not? For me, it's too soon to tell. That's why I'm staying in. But if I see government drops to another 3%, 4%, and then the commercial drop again, then I'm going to be concerned, because then I see that this trend is continuing. But for now, it's still too early to say. In my opinion, I'm staying in. Now, I want to talk about another thing here. And again, this is sort of this misleading thing, and I've been upset about it. We talked a lot about net dollar retention. Is basically when you have a client and you're trying to figure out how much more this client spent this year compared to previous year. Companies like Snowflake pride themselves with 180%. Palantir has dropped from 124 to 119. So basically a 5% drop from 124% to 119%. Yes, net dollar retention drop. Yes, that's not good. But they still have a very decent net dollar retention, 119%. And again, in this section, we have to understand whether this is something temporary or this is a trend. And again, it's too soon to know after one quarter if you're a long-term investor. But this is definitely on my watch list of problems that I want to cover. So I think that they should be moving up. But hey, now to some good stuff. They have this claim against them that's kind of slowed down recently, that they're consultancy, not a software company. And again, them adding customers at this pace basically absolutely defutes that and disproves that. And that's good. So 80% customer count growth year over year, 10% customer growth quarter over quarter. Top 20 clients are spending more money than ever. Top 20 clients of the company are spending 46 million, which is a 17% increase year over year. So the top 20 clients are spending more, obscene amounts of almost $50 million per year, crazy contracts. Not to mention the fact that the company still has a very clean balance sheet. I mean, it's easier to have a balance sheet that looks like that when you're not paying employees with salaries, but rather with our stock, Palantir. So yeah, so there's that. And you have to be fair about this. So yes, Palantir has 3 times more assets and liabilities, 2.4 billion in cash, no debt, and it looks pristine. But you have to remember who paid for that. Us, the shareholders. Because the payment is in stock-based comp for the most part, we're paying for that. And as long as the company can hire good employees and good salespeople, which is what this money went for, I'm fine with it. But in my kind of limited view of what we got in Q2, a slowdown in sales in the government section, a slowdown in the commercial section, a slowdown in net dollar retention. All of these point out to the fact that these highly paid salespeople that basically we as shareholders actually paid for, not even the company with our own shares, are not getting the job done. At this stage of the company's life cycle where there's not gap profitability here still, I expect to see growth going upwards, not downwards. So that's kind of a point for alarm. Not to mention the fact that Alex Karp also said that he doesn't foresee gap profitability all the way to 2025, which means that he foresees way more dilution, which means I think he knows he has to replace a big chunk of the existing sales team and start paying the new sales team again, which again will slow down gap profitability. Again, this isn't great at all, but that's just the reality. Now, for me, this is still too soon to tell whether management will, get the shit together and do not destroy this opportunity. But if I see them keep, shitting the bed and basically coming out with quarter like this and coming out with presentations that insult my intelligence and definitely having these calls where Alex Karp is being a total 15-year-old twerp, we have to stop there. So I'm going to give it a few more quarters, but I'm definitely staying in. And for those of you who are saying that's not the approach of a long-term investor, let me clarify something. I'm not going to be sitting here for 10 years, letting the company fuck up the investment and absolutely say nothing bad because I'm a long-term investor. Long-term investors can be critical of their own investments if they're actually objective about it. In fact, the opposite suggests some sort of a kumbaya circle jerk around the stock, which is something I have zero intentions of doing. So if you're looking for that, there's plenty of other channels for that. Just want to give you my first, impression that I've gathered after cooling down from the absolute train wreck that was the call. And this is kind of where I stand with the company. Still in, still very bullish on the product, unhappy with management, a lot of red flags, giving it 2 more quarters to see if the management actually can get the shit together. See you next video.